Hi, this is Mark, and we're talking about whetstones for guided sharpening systems and overview. I'm a Wicked Edge user. I'm using whetstones made for Wicked Edge. I have expanded my whetstones because it takes up a lot of room. I have to build these racks to hold my whetstones. Those are my rackets. I build racks to hold the whetstones. I have over here another rack full of stones. It takes up space. It takes up a lot of space. So I'm looking to get smaller. So as I continue to experiment and buy and learn about using whetstones, I'm buying now the 1x6 plated whetstones, and I'm using them with the uni handles that we have here for Wicked Edge. These same stones are compatible with your TS Prof, your Hapstone, your Edge Pro, your Genda Jig, the different fixed angle sharpening, and with universal paddles. These same 1x6 whetstones can be used with the Wicked Edge guided system also. So the handles I came up with my partner Doug in order to invite you guys using TS Pro and Hapstone and all those other mediums to give you a way to use them with the Wicked Edge guided system. So because of that, I've expanded. These are Genda Shiramako Pro whetstones. They go in 220 to 5,000. These are all mounted on steel backs, so they're very rigid. So they can be used in the 1x6 that supports them here. They won't flex. Or it can be used in a 1x6 universal handle for a Wicked Edge guided system. So this is an alternative to sticking specifically with Wicked Edge proprietary size to use with Wicked Edge. So I've exhausted everything that I could find to purchase to try. There's more, but I've stopped with enough to keep me busy and to give me an idea. There's still some less popular, less known whetstones that I haven't gotten into. But to tell you the truth, I haven't had time to play with all of these to understand what they are. To figure out their qualities and their not so good sides. So let me see, what else can we say here when we're talking about whetstone? I want to talk about this set of stones that I have here. These are Shapton Rockstar. For you guys that don't know, Shapton came out with a stone many years ago called the Shapton Glass Stone. Originally back in like 2014, 15, 16, they were thick. And the Shapton stone, the white Shapton glass stones, where they got their name, they were originally called glass diamond stones. They were a snow white stone and they cut very well, but they broke. So they made them thicker. And we used to get the original, which is what all of these are, the original Shapton glass diamond stones, and we would cut them. Because they broke, Shapton then started laminating them to tempered glass. Hence, Shapton glass diamond stones, because they had glass. Here is a real Shapton glass diamond stone. You can see the tempered glass under it. So Shapton started laminating it to the tempered glass, which removed the ability of the stone makers to cut them. So I found this size, which happened to fit my needs in a guided system, and I made a handle that would hold these. These are almost 2 inches by, I think, a little over 6. So they are, bear with me, they are a little thinner. And I try to match the size to the application. If I'm doing a very long knife, I will try to do these. These I made just to do it. Now, because Shapton went from the history, the Shapton glass diamond unbacked originally, and as you see, these are all made by Tom Agenda, and these are all cut and lapped and backed, ready to be mounted on wicked edge paddles. I bought these up, I don't know why, because they're just a great starting 500 grit starting stone, and I didn't want them to go away. I wanted to know that there were some more available, so I accumulated them. Anyway, because of the glass diamond and the inability to cut them, fast forward, Shapton came out with a new stone that they call Rockstar. And Rockstar is the old Shapton glass stone. They're the same grit, 320 and 320. They're the same grit as the previous Shapton glass that was before they laminated them, then they laminated them. Now they reintroduced them in a real thick stone. They maybe changed the resin a little bit so that it was less friable, it didn't want to break. And they came back out with the Shapton Rockstar full stones, no glass laminate. So I was able to convince Tom Agenda to make me a set. So I have, as far as I know, the only complete set of Shapton Rockstars that are on 1x6 handles, made to be used for TS Pro Whetstone and whatever. And they are in paired handles for left and right. And the set is 320 all the way to 16,000 grit. Now, this is, as far as I know, the one and only set. I don't know if there's anybody else that has customized a set like these Shapton glass stones. And so you know that in order to work with him or convince Tom to work with me, I ordered all of the grits in grit pairs, and he made me the complete set. It is 2 boxes, and they do work with the universal handles. I haven't got a chance to use these yet, but my understanding is these Shapton Rockstar stones are the same from people who have used them and sharpened with them. They're the same as the original Shapton glass stones. They just made them thicker and maybe stiffer so they wouldn't break, but they are fantastic stones. The problem is that when you start looking in paired handles and you look to do the whole grit complement, it's an investment. It really gets expensive. But these stones last a lifetime. Now, the other thing that I had alluded to before that I want to go back to is that because of the shape of the whole stone, the stone, look at it like cutting diamonds. When you cut a diamond from the raw stone, the diamond cutter cuts it usually to maximize the yield and to not, get rid of the crap and to get the cleanest, nicest, biggest diamond to maximize the yield. When you're buying the full-size whetstones, you have to figure out how to cut it. Like cutting a tree into lumber, you have to figure out how to cut it to maximize the yield And depending upon the size you're cutting it to, that has a consideration in your decision. These, because they're shorter, they waste more. And then the different stones, depending the full-size stones, depending upon their thickness, that determines, do you slice it this way or do you slice it that way? Then do you make them thin or do you make them thick? The Shapton Rockstar stones are stones like this. It's a stone like this. So, not a stone like this that could be sliced this way. This could only be cut side to side. So then we had, this is the whole thickness of the stone. So that was a consideration. That's why we cut them like this and made them so thick. Here's a Chaucer stone made by Genda, and you can see that it's not as thick. Here's a professional stone I had made, and you can see it's thicker. Because when the stones are made, that's a consideration. So when you custom make a stone, you have the decisions to make and the choices to make, whereas when you purchase a cut stone, the man making the stones, the company making the stone, makes those decisions for you. We're trying to maximize the output. We're trying to make it efficient so that it's not so expensive. Some of them are thicker, some of them are thinner. The problem, the difficulty, the challenge with that is that the stones get thicker, so it affects your angle setting. And on the guided sharpening system, some of the users look to buy stones that are all the same dimensions, the same thickness, so they don't have to adjust and calibrate for the thickness. The way I sharpen using an angle cube with the wicked edge, the angle cube takes care of the thickness. But the problem that we run into is we're using an angle cube with a non-magnetic medium. So then that's another challenge. Then we start using non-magnetic stone adapters. So it gets complicated. When you want to use whetstones, then it is a whole more complicated story. The investment, how to decide how to cut them, which stones. The stones I buy locally are different than the stones that are available in the Japanese domestic market that the stone cutters are using. So it gets scary. But there's a lot out there. Now, these different stones are available from Genda, and there's some available from Gritomatic. The thing is that a lot of us don't know what we're buying. Some of them I know about, some of them I don't know about. I buy the stones that I can research so I have an idea of what I'm buying so I can learn about them. So this is my thing, whetstones for guided sharpening. I just use wicked edge. There's not a lot of guys using guided systems that are using whetstones because it's a whole big complicated matter. Not really, but you understand what I'm saying. And then you're using it with water. You're taking your fixed angle sharpening system with all its adapters and you're squirting water on your stone. That's why I prefer to use splash and go stones. It is surprisingly less messy than you think. So there's a lot to using whetstones for guided systems. I hope I gave you an introduction. I invite you to the Wicked Edge Expert Corner group where I talk about sharpening knives with whetstones and other things in general, besides talking about how to sharpen specifically with Wicked Edge. Thanks.